All right, this is going to be charting for tomorrow, which is what March 4th. That's going to be a Wednesday. And also to look at what occurred today. And then moving forward where we're at. So anyways, let's look at I was looking, we ended up getting rid of that monthly SMT. But then I saw this earlier, which is what I want to take a look at here. Because on the monthly, we have now 2-stage here with NQ and YM, right? So we have monthly 2-stage SMT. But my issue, dude, is look, okay, like expansion didn't occur. Okay, we have the monthly bearish CSD for lower, right here, and then we rebalance, right? And I had this drawn out and I missed it. I should have paid more attention to it. But also, look what ended up happening on ES, right? And where we stopped on NQ, right? We basically rebalanced previous month candle, right? So even though we're in this higher time frame, like 3-4 candle model that I was talking about, the reality is it's different now. You know what I mean? Like because we had monthly CSD, like I was talking, for me, I was saying, okay, YM is the leading asset here, so we're still bullish. So like this is just retracement, you know. But the thing that I needed to keep in mind is like, okay, even though this is retracement, right? We do have a monthly closure below this here, right? So this, for the time being, is a CSD, right? So this occurs when this occurs, right? So we get this bullish closure on YM and we get this bearish closure, right, on NQ, okay, with the CSD, okay? So that means that any expansion in the beginning of a new month, i.e. March, right, would be a retracement or a rebalance, right? Unless the month were to open low and create SMT and then expand, right? Which is exactly what happened with YM. Remember, we opened and swept it and then we started to expand. But we expanded, right? Now we can drop down. This is just my working theory now, at least for driving narrative. Let's just get rid of this real quick. So we can look at these two. Right? Because look when we reached, right? We reached the rebalance point, right? Previous day, week EQ here, right? And once this occurred, right? We had that SMT and then we expanded, right? Now we have this and then we end up moving lower. So my theory is like, okay, the monthly currently has SMT like this, okay? That's great. But this looks like garbage to me in terms of like clean, you know what I mean? If it was like this, I would feel more comfortable, right? But the thing we need to keep in mind here is like the higher time frame, which, you know, is also we've been over, but it's like we are due, right, for the rebalance. You know, the reality is I just haven't been marking it out because I've been waiting because it's here. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to see an actual displacement move before looking this, you know, but I had anticipated the potential for this candle on YM, right, to be the correct PO3, right, to then help us rebalance. You know what I mean? So this is something that could be occurring. You know what I mean? If we look at the quarterly, and we take this, I really got to clean the after, right? Quarterly rebalance. Here's a gap, right? So like, right? Where are we headed? Is it are we not gonna? For me, I expected us to expand before this rebalance occurred. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. Maybe the rebalance occurs now via the quote unquote news. You know what I mean? With what's going on. Pretty convenient time for a rebalance. You know, we got potential war going on. You know what I mean? That creates, you know, unsurety. That's not even a word, right? But that creates obviously, you know, fear, right, in the markets, fear in the U.S. and instability, right? So that's going to cause panicness, right? But what's crazy is we know that it's irrelevant to the market, right? It's irrelevant to the market. It's going to rebalance regardless. But if it, just like with Trump's tariff, if it conveniently coincides, right, then it's an easy narrative to convince people of, you know, because you can't convince people, mainstream people, that there's an algorithm that's going to cause them to lose, you know, X amount of dollars on a rebalance. You know, that is unacceptable. But they can be like, well, you know, we blew up Iran and then it tanked, so like there's nothing I could do about it. You know, it's like it's easier to sit with. So, anyways, 3-month gap, right, sitting above EQ here and below EQ. Furthermore, right, and this is why I'm like thinking now lower, is because we have this, right, situation going on here, right? Look how close we are to this quarterly low. And that low, right, is here. So SMT in a gap before this, right? You see? Easy, right? Easy. EQ. Anyway, so that's the thing, is like, so maybe we need a rebalance, or maybe the rebalance is now occurring. You know what I mean? Because we have quarterly SMT right now. We have 3-month SMT. Right, so let's just do this. You know what? Let's just do this. Let's just clear it out. Let's go fresh. Let's go fresh on all assets. You know, get a nice clean perspective here on what's going on. All right. Even though I had just done this because it was a new month. You know, what if someone is blowing me up? Oh, okay. All right. I actually want to go here first, because once again, and I guess I'm just going to make this a video that will go cover everything in terms of like the rebalance. By the way, side note, dude, I cannot believe you posted that in the chat, dude. I wanted to jump through the computer and strangle you. Hold on. Okay, let me go back to the monthly here. Oh, also, I'm gonna unmute you because people are like, it's weird you're talking to no one. So, anyways, so don't be a foolish person. Okay, monthly, yeah. Okay, this. Go ahead.
That super long wick.
Here.
The way I looked at, yeah, the way I saw his screenshot, he pulled his discount premium from that wick low to the high.
You're saying he did this?
Yeah,
Who did?
truth.
Okay, so
Which he did it on a 30-minute chart on some other
yeah,
another
exactly.
example.
Yeah, so okay, so the one I'm looking at it right now, right? The 30-minute rebalance to EQ, okay?
Right.
You see that? Right? That is the one I thought you were responding to, saying you didn't know.
No, exactly. How he pulled that fib from that wick low from that turtle soup. I was always pulling from the candle wick that was turtle soup.
Okay, right.
I never included that turtle soup wick.
So right, so this so right. So true right, this is for a rebalance of this bullish expansion leg, right?
Right.
This is the correct range. However, on YM,
Okay, that's what I thought.
okay, right? Because this was manipulated here, right?
Mm.
Okay, now here on YM it was not, right? It was manipulated, right? But you can see it closed below, right? So failure to manipulate here. Does that mean that this is the range? Or does that mean that we would anticipate this on both assets being the range? And so the reality is it like this? Or is it like this? Granted, these two are very similar, but right, this has a manipulated high, right? Granted, it's the correct PO3, but we're also on a 1 month, right? So it could change, right? But so we have manipulate. But let's say this was not here, okay? If this was like a tiny wick like this, okay, like in his picture, okay, you would put it at the bottom of that wick. You know what I mean? If it was right here, you'd place it because there's no manipulated low. So it goes from the unmanipulated, right? Because that's the current range low, right? The only reason it's no longer range low is if we manipulate below and come back inside, right? The fundamental principle. So like we identify range low. Let's find a better example. That's too low because we were way out. Yeah, like, okay, so look, let's move all this out real quick. Like this, right? If we wanted to find this rebalance point, right? Boom. Now, how do I know that? Okay. Well, in this run, from where I decide to start, being in this gap, the first thing I'm looking for is a manipulated low, right? Or a turtle soup. Well, this is where it should belong. It's not there. What do we have? We have a low that's now unmanipulated. Okay, so that is range low, right? This rebalance, starting new range of expansion. Okay, so I take this range low, and then all I'm doing is I'm looking for where's the next manipulated high, right? Okay, well, this high did not get manipulated. It only was manipulated after what? The CSD of the OB, right? Okay, so is this turtle soup? No, right? Now, this high gets put in here, right? Even though this is incorrect PO3, this is an open low, right? It doesn't matter. Why? Because every candle after this high closed back inside the range until this one. So this is how we know this is range high. And then furthermore, when you take the correct range, i.e. unmanipulated high minus manipulation, it gives you the rebalance point. And then look, closes inside, rebalance where? Right to EQ of what? X range. This is why I was saying, like, I wanted to throw your head into a wall, dude. Like every day we're in this Discord and it's like I literally, it's like how many times do I say it's my bread and butter? It's like I told you I was gonna put a sticker on my truck. EQ of X range, dude. At this point I'm gonna get it tatted, like it's the thing is it's fractal, right? So like then you just move it again, right? Rebalance, expansion. Okay, so this is gone now, right? This is a new price leg, right? You see what I mean? And then you find, right, this rebalance, unmanipulated, right? Boom. Okay, well, we could have said it was here, right? And I have been doing this to check because what's interesting is, okay, sometimes you can draw this range, right? This is where we expanded to, this high, and we did not go any higher, right? Until this candle, right? So it's interesting, and I kind of wanted to talk to G, but I don't know where he's at. But here's the thing: notice discount of this range is this rebalance here, right? But what's interesting is the only way that could be possible, right, is if this is the originally established quote unquote true range, and anything above this section is considered manipulation, even with body closures. You know what I mean? Because if this is manipulation, right? Like, look, at least this is what I'm starting to try to like understand, right? Why, if we need to rebalance, would we create these bullish PD arrays? The only reason, in my opinion, right, the market would do that prior to a rebalance is to establish direction, right, on the higher time frame. So we get a weekly CSD for higher, right? And then we rebalance after, quote unquote, via manipulation. You know what I'm saying? So yes, this range but also this range. Now, why this range is obviously what I would prefer to use because we can see that we have unmanipulated lows in discount. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, anyways, um, whether or not you want to, this is right. This is how I see it. So, anyway, so let's get on with where were we? 3 month. I'm just gonna put it on there because whoops. Most recent manipulated low, right? Correct PO3 low, right? And yes, it's like, oh, why are you not putting it here? You know what I mean? Well,
Mm.
if I'm anticipating this candle to roll over, right, then this would be range high, and this PO3 would be
Mm.
an open high to come back inside, right? So that's why I would draw it that way. Um, okay, let me grab. What am I doing here? Sorry. There we go. Boom. Right. So I just want to put this on there just so that I'm not confused when we somehow land here. You know, I've like used all the colors up. We're gonna go with this weird one. I think it was like this one. Text 3M rebalance point. EQ. Boom. Let's just zoom in to make sure we're like on. We look pretty good. Oh, it's too late. There we go. There we go. Okay, one done. Get rid of that. Come on over here. Put that there. Oh, I had it. There we go. Boom. Very nice. And over here, I'm gonna do the same. Dude, after I did all this last night when we got off,
Mm.
then I was like, oh, dude, not. And then I went and had to redo it all on the micros for the
Mhm.
for the evals, dude. I was like, oh, bro. Oh, also, I know it's like, but we're close on NQ, so oh, I have to do it. I got to put it in there just because I feel like we're gonna manipulate an SMT down here, anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Be- because I thought we were already due for expansion. The fact that we continued lower and because see the reason the key level failed last night is because we needed to seek EQ of the order block. I don't know if you saw where like that 4 hour candle closed. We closed uh at EQ of that 4 hour OB on all three assets. The problem was is the next candle opened high because we wanted lower. And the only reason I can think that we want lower is because we need a deeper discount, right? A deeper rebalance. Okay, we got that. We got this. It's unfortunate. It's like right on it because it makes it really difficult. So I'm just gonna go like this. Boom. Okay, great. And then we're gonna just drag this in to like here. This guy's gonna come in right there. Dude. Oh, what happens if I go on top? Top. Boom. There we go. Okay. So that's great. Let me just take a screenshot. This is going to be, oh, dude. Okay. And we're already in this OB, which is, I don't even need that on there anymore. Because this is current range. You know what I mean?
Mm.
This is current range here. Oh, that's a little. There, I think that's good. All right, let me just slap this screenshot here. Where'd it go? Dude, every time oh no, it disappeared. Here we go. Sorry, let me grab this. I missed it. That's unfortunate. Every time I do a screenshot and I click to open it, it like opens up in the middle of the recording screen. It's so annoying. Like this, see? So frustrating. All right, where's my charting? Here we go. Let's go add page for tomorrow, Wednesday, March 4th. Birthday's coming up. We're gonna kill it this month. I'm gonna kill it just to boom. All right, so we got that done. All right, monthly. These lows, right? Left unmanipulated here. Is this a November low? Right. This low was previously manipulated here, resting right above the rebalance point. I'm sure this will get taken and then some sort of SMT. Who knows? We'll see. Let's go to the weekly now. Okay, so now we're good on this dude. See, like we look at YM here. Yeah. We just need to come sweep one of these out, you know? And furthermore, let's check this out, right? If we take this low that was not manipulated, right? And I think this is what we just did. This is the same thing, right? Boom. Maybe we'll hold up here, right? We're holding EQ, right? Let's check this one. This is obviously like in the can here. See, we held EQ and then we fell below. But this is irrelevant, right? This is what I started to understand, and like also something to pay attention to is 1 second. There is no reason, right, that ES, the NQ or ES is going to stay in its valid range, right? If the leading asset needs to continue to seek a discount or premium. Does that make sense? Like, right. So like I'm prior to this, right? Prior to this, when holding EQ on both assets, okay, who knows? Or like you could speculate, and obviously, right? But the reality is like once we close here, right? It's like, oh, are we going to seek this low? Well, NQ appears that it needs to seek a low, right? But the reality is like even if we do seek this low, right? This structure is going to fail. Like the bullish structure is going to fail, and this will not. You know what I mean? And so if you're not watching both, this could obviously trip you up. You know what I mean? So if I'm drawing ranges on one asset like this and it's doing what it shouldn't, then obviously look to the other one, you know? So anyways, that's that. So we're good. We've reached weekly rebalance. I guess I should put this in just to see how we it's gonna have to be something different. This is gonna be like this is the weekly. It's a mouthful, but you know, I've run out of colors, dude. We're gonna go with this weird dark red one. Okay. Are we like on here? We are off slightly. Above or below? I'm above. There we go. Just because I want to monitor, you know what I mean? I want to monitor how we hold here. on this overall leg. This, and let's check. Right, EQ this week. Are we going to close below? Are we going to close back inside? So this is another one I want to monitor. I'm just going to put on all of them. Maybe if we're going to go lower, we'll rebalance on NQ to it, and then right, come back up, and then reject or something. Right. What's funny is right, we're measuring EQ of YM's expansion, right? Expansions need rebalances. Notice that these two assets are not in expansion, they're in consolidation, right? Yeah. Right. Okay. So if these assets are in consolidation and this expanded and has now retraced, right? GXT markets can't reverse from consolidation. That's truth and G, right? That's all of them. Consolidation does not equal reversal, right? Markets cannot reverse from consolidation. They can do what? Manipulate and what? Expand, right? So this consolidation, notice how it's occurring until what? This point, right? So now it'll be interesting to see that now that YM has rebalanced its expansion leg here, right? Notice this is rebalance, right? It's only up here that we had not, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now that doesn't mean that higher time frame, right? We already know we need further rebalancing, but for the time being within this structure, we have now rebalanced. So we could see, right? One manipulation of these lows within the consolidation, right? Or not, but or we'll see. Are we going to begin to expand? You know what I mean? Or we're going to either way. But you see what I mean? Like now that we've reached this rebalance point, this consolidation doesn't have to stay this way now, right? So, anyways, okay. So we got that. I wanna screenshot this just for my notes. I love having data. We're gonna use this high, right? Because this was the highest high prior to manipulation, right? Now I'm sure like true range could be X somewhere else, right? But like this, right? Because this high was correctly manipulated with the correct PO3, right? You see what I mean? So like, and none of these, yes, they went higher, but none of them closed outside this range, right? So for me, I'm going to choose this high here instead of up here, because anyways, and that could also be incorrect, but that's how I'm going to do it, right? For now. Okay, so which is exactly how I done it before. Yeah, that's why we're right here. Okay, but this is in the way, and this is in the way. I feel like I really just don't want the other lines there, There we go, disappear. I think I'm just gonna get rid of these. Well, I'm just gonna have them for the picture. That's right, for my screenshot. Okay. Unmanipulated low to manipulated high. All right. Boom. Is that clear enough? I feel like I'm giving too much credit to ES right now. There we go. All right, whatever. I'm not gonna waste any more time. Okay. Move this over again. Paste this here. This is gonna be the weekly. I'm actually glad we're doing this because with what's happened this week thus far with the news and the market, it's good to do like a refresh to see if the bias, etc., is still on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the framework. Okay, so that's weekly. I'm going to keep the weekly rebalance point on there. All right, now we can get into the day. Is it relevant to put on previous week's low? I'm going to say yes, because it could be, right? If we stop here, then we could use it as support. Remember, that's what happened with YM. Remember, 6 a.m. closed back inside previous week low and previous day low, and then 10 a.m. This was what, on Monday? 10 a.m. opened low into previous week low and previous day low, and then expanded.
Yep.
So, anyways, we'll pull this as an area of interest. No need for a previous week high right now for me. Actually, oh, whoops. But now that I accidentally did that, I was going to say I might as well just put previous week high up here. Even though you doing your charting too?
Oh yeah.
Nice. Previous week high. This low needs to come out here. All right. This is why I do not like, right? All assets, weekly assets, right? Correct PO3 for what? For lower, right? But here's the thing, right? Every single one opened high on the week. Well, open, right? This candle rebalanced to what? Previous week EQ, right?
Mm-hmm.
Minus YM, right? Previous week EQ, and then has now come down, right? Now, what's good to note here is because of the correct PO3, right? Because this was an open high to rebalance, right? And then we came down here, and now we're back up here, right? Potentially closing back inside previous week's range, right? Furthermore, we do see now, we do know, right, that at least on this asset here, right, and this asset, right, the weekly rebalance point on YM had not been met yet, right? So there is a reason why the markets need to come down further, right, than previous week low, right, which occurred. Now, as long as we continue back inside the range, right, then we can look for a model, right, expansion, as long as this holds, right? So that's what we monitor, right? But look, YM's got to get way back up in here, but that doesn't necessarily, right? This could be where like two come back in, but the lagging asset doesn't, right? And then we get the strength switch at some point, right? But we're talking weekly. Okay, so weekly rebalance point. I'm not going to put it on there. I can already see that occurred. Move down to the day, the DIA, and see what we got here. Yeah, I got to get my other mic working so I don't have this thing like next to my face. Okay, this is where I want to take a gander. Oh, wait. We're already off to a bad start. You know why? Because we do not have the SMT that's currently being held. It's weird because the SMT is occurring on ES. You know what I mean? Which is really odd. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because look, the reality is the monthly SMT is like this here, right? Between these two assets, it looks like this, right?
Right.
But you can't do that uh, with NQ because it's way up here. You see? But the reality is it's up here because this SMT is not how it was formed. It's a two stage, right? It's
Right.
this way.
Right.
Okay, which is again looks awful. Looks super awful, you know. But this is the current SMT. So what we're going to do is we're just going to throw that in there. I just don't like I said, why not here? You know? Oh, wait, I learned something. I think you can control shift click. No, what is it? Control click? No. Yeah, and then you can do them both.
Wait, you do both at the same time?
Yeah, I just learned that. So basically, like, I gotta see if you can go across all of them. Let's see.
Oh, so you can select the two lines and change it both to a SMT line.
Yes, you can't go across. Look, I can't go from here to here, which sucks.
Right.
So I can't do all the
That'd be
previous
super
week
tight.
highs, but yeah, you can. Um,
Nice.
yeah. Okay, so this is our current monthly SMT situation, which honestly just like, what is this? It looks, which is fun. You know, ICT's like, I'm just gonna take this whole week off, you know, because of the manipulation.
Right.
But to be fair, I mean, this looks awful, and more than anything is like why this is not has not occurred, or why it's like this. You know what I mean? Like this low, and granted, this SMT here is likely for the expansion we're either experiencing off of this low, right? Before we come take this low, you know what I mean? Like we don't know that this is going to hold, right? We have SMT what 3 days into the month. You know what I mean? So
Right.
this SMT, right? Well, actually, we got to think about it correctly with how order flow went, right? And maybe this does make sense. Okay, the beginning of March, that first night, right? We opened low and YM swept February's low, and then we started to expand, right? That's what when we remember when we had that crazy manipulation, we were way low.
Yeah.
That expansion, right, was created because we had a monthly SMT with YM and NQ, right? So maybe now, right, this SMT that caused the rebalance on, right? Maybe this SMT was just for that, right? And now this SMT will no longer be valid because now we're going to come take this low. Does that make what you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like the fact that it looks wrong might be the market tipping its hand to us, right?
Right.
And furthermore, like even though I've taken longs, right? And we've been taking longs in quote unquote, we technically are on a higher time frame premium, right? Of this range.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a part of me underneath that knows this hasn't occurred yet. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So like, you know, how much conviction, you know, even with correct models, you know, I'll have that conviction all day until I see some sort of sign, right, that we could be moving lower across higher time frames, right? Well, do we have that yet? Right? We've got the CSD here, right? But now we're at this rebalance point, so we have to see, you know. Okay, so it's weekly. I do want to screenshot this just so I can notate. And you know what? I want to trust my gut because this key level here is this one because I want to monitor how price responds to this if we ever get down here. Because just like, did you see the key level I had at Asia EQ last night? The ones where I was like, these have to get hit because they're unmanipulated. Did you see where I sent you that picture? Or I posted it in the Discord. Did you see where YM targeted today?
The lows.
No, no, no. After we took the lows, when we expanded back, right? Did you see where YM expanded
Yeah.
back to?
The key level you sent.
Hmm.
What was that key level?
So I'll show you after when we're done with this right now.
I bet.
Let me just take a screenshot. That's going to be a little short on the side, but I don't care. Dude, I gotta figure out how to fix that. That's just unacceptable. Okay. Boom. Put that in the journal. All right. Move this over here, and then we go back. All right. So we got 3 month, monthly, weekly. Awesome. Okay. Let's go back now. We were on daily. We were on the dia. The dia. Here we go. All right. Looking sloppy. Just clean her up. See, it's like the reality is like there's so much SMT here. Like it's here to up here, but like whatever. We're just gonna keep it simple and put it like this. Okay. Alrighty, yo. Let's go. Bam. Bam. Okay. Mark this. And then we mark this here. Previous day low. Oh, they're both red. That's interesting. That's okay. All right, we got previous day high and previous day low. Let's see, EQ. Or we're going to be measuring EQ of the wick, the lower wick, or both. Could be measuring both. I want to see. Right, like this is we were talking about. You were asking about this the other day, like why would we measure this specifically this wick, right? Well, because it's a long wick, and if we are going to rebalance, if we let's just say if we are going to expand, right, again after this move, right, then a rebalance needs to occur. Yes, to EQ of X candle, right, but more than that, where is likely a unmanipulated lower time frame PD array that we'll seek will likely be somewhere at EQ, right, of this lower wick. And you've seen in all the videos, like when I was putting them on there, like there were plenty of days where we were totally using those levels. So I'm actually gonna do both. Um, you know what? You should be able to export your all your saved like lines and all that.
What do you mean?
Like how like okay like let's say someone's like, oh, teach me, or like show me how you chart, etc., right, or like trading in general, and you're like, all right, well, first you got to learn, and you start like drawing your lines out, right? Well, like
Right.
look, like you can see, like with me, it's like under my, look how many templates I have.
Right.
It's like, now does
Export
everyone need
those.
them? No, but imagine if I could export these, you know
Yeah.
just as like a little pack, so that if I go to like for my brother or someone, it's like I could just,
That would be
because
cool.
creating, or even the fibs, because it's annoying to like always redo those. I'm getting lost again,
Right.
which is, oh, it's right there. It's here. It's a here, and then we go like this. Zinc. I think I actually have one saved. Let's see. I could be wrong. I actually might have never saved that. It's okay. We'll go previous day low. We're going to change it. We're going to call it EQ of the lower wick. Oh, maybe 11 looks a little big. Then we'll bring this here. Put that in. Very nice. And then previous day EQ. We're going to copy a pasta over here. Oh, I'm off. Disappear. There we go. And then we drag it down to get our daily, daily lower wick EQ. It's like all the things from ICT in the beginning that like were not like the focus of, what he teaches is all the stuff that I utilize now. Like,
Yeah.
the things like I was saying yesterday, last night, it's like the stuff that's in the that you like, it's like right in your face, but you just there's so much to take in that you end up like missing it.
Yeah, it's always the stuff he's not gonna touch on too much.
Yeah, exactly. But like for how long? And I actually don't watch or listen to ICT like at all anymore. Like short of the 2022 mentorship, and once we created the discords, I was done.
Yeah,
The only time
yeah,
he's relevant is like, I see what he says on Twitter just because I love people that just trash talk. Because the reality is like it is absolutely true. So I do find that funny. But to my point is the way he trades is like, for so long we're like, God, it looks like barf all over his charts. Lines everywhere, lines, and then like super ugly, fair value gaps that make you want to, have a stroke. But the reality is what he's always done is he's always specifically communicating to us that he's paying attention to what he's paying attention to. How does price respond to quote unquote these levels. And so this is the level, right? Because we can use Wix, right? And it's like at one point he's talking about Wix's gaps. It's like, it's like all even deeper. But to my point is like this is critical. Okay, we're on the daily, so I just really don't want it to like clutter this up. So I guess I'm just gonna move it in like this, just because it looks awful on these other ones. Let's see if I can fix that like this. Okay, then we gotta do the same. See, what sucks is you can click multiple things, right? But if you try to move them like back, they don't all do it, which is so dumb.
mm,
You know what I mean? All right, we're just gonna put there. Okay, so we got lower wick EQ, we got previous day EQ, we got the same situation here, and we have the same situation here, right? Yep. And then I do, son of a, oh, I did, I made it close enough. I know it's not, but I want to bring this into focus at the bottom of the chart, like so. Oops. For sure move this in now. That looks good. I'm into that. We'll just do it. Sorry, it's my OCD, dude. It's got to be clear. I don't want to be confused. I don't want people to be confused. There we go. Boom. So this is in picture, and then that obviously is. Oh, should have brought it in focus too, even though it's way down there. There we go. All right. Boom. All right. I'm super glad. Oh my goodness gracious, dude. Did that work? There we go. I'm super glad we redid I cleared the charts because, dude, are you kidding me right now? Bruh. This is insane, homie. What is going on? I just had it all set up. Oh, it's because when I changed this one. Oh, because this guy's just like chilling out here overextended. There we go. All right, Gucci. Ah, and dude, is it relevant? It's way down. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'll do that later. I was like, should I put the quarterly rebalance point on there? But I'm not going to because we're not there yet. All right, let me try to screenshot this once again. Nice. Is like if I don't know why it's like so stupid. All right, daily. Put that in the charts and the journals for tomorrow so I can post that. All right, so we went, what did we do? We did quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. Okay. So we got our levels for tomorrow, right? So now let's check our 4 hour and see if we have any gaps or how things look. Ah, well, here's the gap from today. Oh, but let me show you. You were asking about the unmanipulated lows, highs that I was talking about, right? From last
Right.
night. Yeah, watch. So if we just replay this real quick. Wait, was this last night? No. Wait. Yeah, this was right. Where's my boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. This was right here. Sorry. Okay, look. When we were in Asia session, you remember last night, or like when we were, I was okay.
Mm.
So watch. Okay. Because this is it's the same thing every time. Granted, it didn't happen today. For a different reason. But this is literally like if guys would just really focus on truly understanding rebalance points and like how to where the market seeks, on any time frame, like they would be so much better off, right? And the reason I say that is because look, so last night, I don't know what time were we charting. We were like we're I don't remember, but anyways, like here. There we go. We were like here, right? Because I remember Asia
Yeah.
session had just ended. Okay, but this is what I was talking about, right? So we're at an open low on the day, right? You can see prior to Asia. Okay, okay, great. Okay, but then, and granted, so prior to Asia session running out, right? If you remember, well, I don't know if you did, but anyways, like it's like take a paper trade, right? No protected swing, et cetera, right? But look, we end up manipulating this low, right? And then you can see we get right potential expansion. Okay. Now if we have an SMT at the lows, right, and it's a protected swing, right, then if
Mm.
that's confirmed, the only place the market's going to go is where EQ of X range, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, X range, right? Given current like where we're sitting when we're looking at the charts. So if we're down here, right? If we, dude, don't do this to me, whatever. Right? If we're here looking at charts, right? If I'm looking for a rebalance of X range, then it's this, right? So then I take that EQ point and I do that right across the assets, right?
Mm.
And lo and behold, what do we have here? In my opinion, what do we have? Well,
Relative equals.
but but more than relative equals, like more than that, what do we have here? What do I look for? What defines a key level for me? Like on the lower time frames for me, like what do I always say? Like I'm looking for what?
PD arrays, wait, on a lower time frame.
Yeah, but what specifically? Like why did I choose this as a key level? Right? That's the
Gotcha.
question. Right. The reason I chose this as a key level is because when we take X range, this is in discount, right? These two highs are in discount of this range, right? If this is a discount and this is a premium, sorry, if we're in discount and we're going to seek premium, these are the only two highs in a premium, right? And same thing here. Okay, but more important than that is, are they manipulated or unmanipulated?
Unmanipulated, eh?
They're what?
Unmanipulated,
You're
eh?
damn right they're unmanipulated. There is no soup here or soup here. There's no SMT, right? Okay, so the only reason the market is going to leave relative equal highs in discount slash premium of a range is for what? Is to seek them later, right? Because we're going to set this up as LR. So for me last night, my hypothesis was if we are going to go lower, right, we could rebalance first to EQ, right? So we don't have to come back to Asia. In which case you would take longs and the only target you would choose are unmanipulated highs in discount of or premium of the range. Why? Because if we're going to go lower, we have to do what? We have to create a protected swing point, i.e., a manipulated swing, right? So these highs have to be manipulated to go lower, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But that didn't end up occurring, right? But that's not random, and this is what I was trying to tell Black, right? Yes, the PD array, right, that I chose down below failed. But this doesn't go away. We never came back to it. Okay. Right? We never came back to it. But then we did. And this is what I was trying to say. Like if we speed this up. Right? 2 o'clock opens low, right? Just shy of what? A PD array, right? The target. Right? And we can leave this and then you can see, right? Look.
Right.
This is not random, right? And this is what I was trying to I try to get across, right? And granted, I like I said, I didn't trade today, but look, this being unmanipulated, right? In discount, right? Or pre, right? That never got swept. The reason this didn't occur last night was because of this. I mean, you can see the market maker model like clear as day here, right? I mean. But do you see what I mean? Notice YM took these, right? YM took those. And as soon as we took them, what occurred? Look, we took this on YM and what happened? That was high that was high a day over here on both of these assets, right? That's high a day. So you tell me, is this key level correct or incorrect? If as soon as we hit it, no asset in the triad went any further, right?
Right.
So that's how I know when I'm finding key levels. That's how I know they're correct. That's why I have that conviction, is because like if it were wrong, this wouldn't be hit. You know. And so now we have to pay it to. Granted, we're on the 1, but let me get out of this because I want to go back to the 4-hour so we can finish up this session real quick. But look, this high, this is the key level, right? We did not take it on these assets. Okay, but look. Oh my goodness. Now we have, right? Now we have something. What is this? Oh, it's EQ of the lower wick. Yeah, right. So now we have this SMT. right? We have an SMT with these highs, right? With YM and NQ, with correct PO3. This candle stopped short. This candle, right, opened high, created the SMT, closed back inside, right? Now we're in an open low. You can see that, right? The question is, right, is this so that we come down and take this low? Or is it so that we can open low, rebalance, and these two are going to be taken, right? You see what I mean? Like they're left for later, right? That's why I'm going to leave them there, is because depending on how the market is in the morning, if we're going to be moving up, right, this is an easy target. And furthermore, it's located where? Right below previous day high, right? So like you could see that because this already took it, maybe we consolidate, this one catches up. But once we catch up and we clear the SMT, boom, maybe then YM goes into consolidation, or by that it's like 2:00 open low to take previous day high, whatever the case may be. But you know what? So I'm going to leave that, you know. And now we're in, yeah, we have this 4-hour gap, right? We close below this one, whatever, right? We're in YMs, but more important than the gap is like, where are we at in relation to previous day EQ? EQ's down here for YM, and EQ of that lower wick is here on NQ. So we'll just monitor that. And then we'll see what happens in the morning. Do we have news tomorrow? That's what I totally forgot. Let me go back to my charting.
It's like the Korea release or something for the NFP.
Isn't it non-farm employment change? No.
Yeah.
At 5:15, and then we have
ADP or something.
Yeah, ADP. Yep, and then we have PMI at 7.
Okay.
Yeah. 10 o'clock. I wonder if we'll go to
We got real NFP going on Friday.
Yes.
So
yes. Yep.
It calls us to wait or something, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Or because it's Wednesday, you know, we could get low of week tomorrow. We could get a reversal. You know what I mean?
I like a little week.
So who knows? But anyways, I think, yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely gonna just be patient, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
Going to be patient. It's unfortunate too. This was nice until it wasn't. I was like, all right, dude, we got this 2,610 right back inside the range, you know.
It's goosing, bro.
But again, it's irrelevant on a 4-hour and a daily if 3-month rebalance points here, and we have a 3-month BISI here with an unmanipulated key level right here, you know. So if we continue like this and we're yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, dude, we'll shut this off and then